Hello, everyone. My name's Frank Klesitz. I'm here with Monica Reynolds, and I'm the CEO of Vyral Marketing, and we came together to do a fun webinar with you today to help you learn how to get more commissions from your database. And Monica, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. And Frank and I go way back. We've known each other for, we thought we were just talking probably over 10 years, around 10 years, 9 to 10 for sure.
Yep. I was just out of college, and I was learning how to sell real estate, and they said I needed to get a 33 touch plan in place. And I didn't really know what to do, so I decided to grab a little flip camera and create some educational videos, 2 quick educational videos a month to send out to my list.
And you were like the first guy out there doing it. Yeah. And I remember I was coaching the agent you were working with, and I go, you're going to do what? And then you're going to send out, you're taking a tour of a house and doing an open house. Yeah. I said, well, that sounds pretty good. Well, good luck with that.
This is maybe back in, 2008. I mean, Facebook just even opened up where you could be outside just colleges. So very long story short, the reason I'm here is just to kind of make sure the webinar goes well and get you guys the information that you need. And what I do at Vyral is we have about 60 employees, and we interview you on a webcam to create helpful educational videos to stay in touch with your database. We provide that solution. So you can check that out at getvyral.com. That's all you're going to hear about today for my business. And then Monica partnered up for years. You've been teaching the perfect real estate assistant. So tell us briefly about that.
Yes. And for years that I've always promoted you too, and what you do for the agents. You make their life so much easier on the marketing aspect. But we'll kind of weave that in today. And of course, that's my one thing is absolutely real estate assistants and building teams. And I've been doing that since the dark ages. In fact, I got thrown out of a Coldwell Banker office because I brought an assistant in the 80s, and they said too much liability. And I was doing more business than the whole bunch of agents put together, but they threw me out. So there you have it, right?
Yeah.
Look at the world now.
So yeah, with the team, who would have thought the teams would have taken off so much in the early days?
Right. And look at the business you built by just going out and doing a few videos like that and going, hey, look at that Facebook thing. Maybe we should put it on that. Look what you built. So we've all evolved, and now it's even changing even more again.
So kind of the structure for the webinar, I want to thank you guys for joining us today, is we are going to start off with kind of a state of the industry and what we're seeing as we head into the 2019. I think we can call it uncertain. I feel a little more uncertainty more than ever.
Yes.
In real estate with commissions and what's Zillow going to do and all these instant buyers, the iBuyers, whatever it may be, big teams and how that relates to the individual agent. And we're going to kind of figure out what the situation is. And then we're going to talk into, Monica, you have some notes, right? Show the audience your notes.
I got 4 pages of notes. I'm prepared.
So if you're looking to, kind of really 3 main things: reconnect with your database. These are your past clients. This is your sphere of influence. These are maybe leads that you've been trying to work or nurture over a period of time you haven't been doing a good job with. How could you scale yourself maybe with some events or technology or videos or something to be in front of people more often so they choose you as a real estate agent? So we have to reconnect with your existing list. We'll cover that. We have to talk about growing your list. How do you grow your database, hopefully of homeowners, of people who start building a relationship with you, probably online, like you're watching this video now. So they choose you as a real estate agent. And then what do you do to stay in touch? Like, what actually do you send people, and what are the topics, and how often do you send stuff? And what's
what's valuable? What's valuable? We got to do the value.
So you have me, which has been doing database marketing for 10 years for hundreds of agents. You have Monica with 30 some years of experience in real estate, working and training assistants to get the marketing executed. I thought we can come together and teach some good stuff to help people out today. Sound good, Monica?
I'm all in. Let's do it.
So, little quick backstory for anyone who doesn't know you. You've been selling real estate here in Southern California and San Diego. Thousands of homes, dealing with buyers and sellers and winning listing presentations. What's going on in the market with regard to the state of the real estate agent and getting listings and being profitable, and what's happening with change? Give us some
So I'm going on 40 years, and so
40 years.
Older, longer than you've been on Earth, and that was before cell phones and before cars. Right? So with that said, what I want you to hear is that the technology is taking over so much of our relationship with the buyers and the sellers. So what we have to do is we have to create the value. And so the value is critical to the relationship. So we have to set ourselves apart from the technology. Anyone can go online now and find anything out that they want to find out. And at some point, you know, it's been rumored, and you've heard all the rumors too, that Zillow's going to have, and you use the term, an Uber realtor that's going to just go out and open up a door for them for $75. So we have to know that things are going to change again. So we have to create the value. And the way we create value is going through the conversations we're going to have in the next, you know, 30, 40 minutes. But also that database is how you're going to set yourself apart. So it's product knowledge, knowing the house and the construction. It's community knowledge. It's writing and negotiating successful over the top, you know, contracts. But it's also about the relationship, you know, in knowing who they are and understanding how you can help them and keep them informed of the market. You've got to create some value. So first of all, you got to have a database, and you've got to be purposeful about that database. And then in that database, so I was going to just share with everyone, there are 5 categories of a database, in my opinion. One is the agent database from other agents around the country. Okay. That's huge for your business right now. You've got to be, you know, thinking about the agents around the country and building that database. Your vendors, anyone who makes $1 off of you should be in a separate database also. And you're constantly pelting them for, I need a lead. What can you do to help me support my business? That type of thing. I know RESPA. I'm not asking them to send you a check or anything like that. I'm asking them to help participate by finding leads. So if you have a termite company that you give all this business to, and you find out that they have 47 employees, why don't you know their name, address, and phone number? So the other ones are your team. You know what I found interesting, Frank, when I do an assistant class and I say, pull out your iPhone, and I say, scroll all the way down in your contacts. These assistants have 700, 800, 900 contacts. I say, how many people on your Facebook page? I have more assistants say over 1,000 people on their Facebook. We're not tapping into the team one also. Then center of influence is separate than a you know, past client. Center of influence. Yeah. Okay. Pardon me.
Number 4 is influence.
Yeah. Center of influence. So it's center of influence. Past clients is one. Team, referrals, agent, and vendor. So those are your 5. So those databases all have to be sometimes a little bit different what you're sending to them and how you go toward them. So when I have someone who's making $1 off of me on a vendor, I expect them to give me a referral a month. I expect them to give me their list of employees. If I have an assistant, I expect him or her to bring a referral to the team every single month. I expect them to be reaching out to our clients and saying, by the way, we love working with you. Is there anyone else we can help that wants to buy or sell real estate? You know, that is so critical. Someone just said, repeat the 5 again. So I will. So it's a team referral. It's agent referrals. Okay. It's affiliate referrals, center of influence, and past clients. And Frank, affiliate, vendor.
Hey,
Affiliate
Monica,
vendor.
turn your volume down just a little bit for me because it's reverbing into the microphone.
Well, that'd be good if I knew where to find it.
That's all right. I'll speak softer.
Okay.
So that's good. We're going to go into that a little bit, but I want to step back to something that you said, and those are wonderful 5 things to reconnect with. I was at the Zillow conference, and basically Spencer said the goalposts have moved where, you know, you go to Zillow, you type in, I want to talk to an agent. About 50% of the consumers that go to Zillow never even get a call back from an agent. So 50% of their customers on the Zillow platform don't even get a response from the agent. And Spencer's like, we can't have that. So they are now apparently following up with the leads.
Absolutely.
And they call the first agent if you don't answer, next agent don't answer, next agent don't answer, right? To connect you and to connect the agent. But eventually the goalpost will probably move again, which you alluded to, which I haven't heard this. But what does somebody want when they talk to an agent? Get me into the house, right? Not maybe force me through a buyer consultation or whatnot. And now if you're just a commodity to shuffle someone to a home to let them in, you're going to have much downward pressure on your income. Right. Whereas if we focus on referral and we focus on the people that you know and the people that hopefully will use you to list the property as opposed to be predominantly on the buy side. The reason you want to work a database is because people will pay a premium to feel protected and guided through someone through a difficult transaction, right?
Right.
So maybe let me ask you this question before we get into this.
Okay.
Somebody wants to build a database. You've seen what can you say about how someone's positioned with homeowners or how someone's positioned with past clients in Sphere to get the full commission than being just, you know, one of 5 agents as a commodity of how cheap you can get something from somebody?
Well, are you referring to how often you are in contact with them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the feeling that you
Okay.
create with somebody in your database where that homeowner feels like, I want to work with this person because I feel they're going to protect me. I feel they're going to guide me.
Oh, I love the word protect. Okay.
They're going to protect me. They're going to be my fiduciary. They're going to help me through this difficult transaction. This is a very, very risky transaction. I need someone to guide me. I can't have 2 mortgage payments. I'd be financially destroyed. I have to sell this home before I can get my next home for this new job. I got to be in that school district or my children are not going to grow up correctly. Right.
Right.
You know, yeah, I can go to Redfin for 1%. Or I can find an agent that will do it for free and they make it up, let's say on mortgage or something, right?
Right.
But
so
I'm going to hire Monica that charges 6%. And why does someone do that?
Because I bring value to every single conversation that we have. And I'm purposeful on it. And I understand calling people and asking them for a referral, and our business is based on referrals, blah, blah. But I bring value to every single conversation. I bring value to their life. For example, I was going to share with you, and we talked earlier, in the 90s, I stopped doing this, and I thought about it during these fires in California that were so destructive. I mean, it just wiped out an entire town. And I thought to myself, you know, in the old days, I would call you and I'd say, hey, Frank, Monica Reynolds, thanks for buying that house from us. That's a great home. In fact, I would like to send over a videographer to come over to your house 2 months after 2 months you've been in the home, and it's no cost or obligation, and we're going to do this for you. We're going to take a video of your home and all your contents in case something disastrous ever happened, like fire or flood or hurricane or tornadoes. See, those little things, you have to start thinking, what are things that we can do that set us apart that, you know, technology can't do because you didn't think about it? It's the relationship. How can we make your life better? Can you imagine if all those people in Paradise had a video of their home? I remember one of the gals saying, I don't even remember what I have in my house. I don't even know where to start. What if she'd had a video of all the contents of her home? Would that be helpful? So it's a relationship. It's calling them on a regular basis. It's saying, hey, just part of our customer service, I wanted to let you know that we just got the latest ratings of the schools in your area, and they grew, you know, it went up from being number 8, now we're number 7 or number 6. Just wanted to let you know that really helps the house values. What kind of value are you bringing to those calls? What can you tell them about the market? Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. And can you bring your volume down at all? Is there a volume option, Monica? That's okay. See,
got a mute
because you have that reverb. All right.
The rats. Okay.
So I think I want to start this off that you will maintain pricing power on your commission, and people will hire you to list their home, or maybe even hire you to represent them on the buy side. If you can provide them a feeling of certainty and protection and guidance. This is a very challenging situation that's very rare in someone's life they're dealing with. And they'll pay a premium out of their equity or whatever it may be to work with you because they feel better working with you than someone else. It's kind of irrational when you think about it, but that's how humans buy. It's why you hire an expensive attorney over a less expensive attorney, or you buy really nice shoes over maybe the same shoes. You're buying a feeling. So what Monica's sharing here is, how do we create that feeling with your database, with the people that you know, that you can protect them and guide them so they choose you as their agent? So you got to
show you care. You got to say, is there anything I can answer about the real estate market? Is there anything I can research for you? It's like you're an intellectual concierge about real estate. Yep. You're telling about the trends, what's happening. Hey, do you have a couple of minutes, Frank? I wanted to share with you what's happening in your neighborhood as far as values. You know, who doesn't want to know about the most important investment?
Correct.
How's my sound? I found my icon.
No, you're good. A little more. Bring it down as low as you can.
Really?
Where you can just basically
Okay.
kind of hear me. Yeah, that's why you get these headsets. It helps out. That's okay. Don't worry.
I can fix it.
So what Monica's sharing here is kind of the intent of what you do to stay in touch with your list. But let's step back now. So we understand we need to create this feeling that we can protect and we can guide with an audience of people who hopefully know you in some way. All right. And you gave us five audiences to start with, 5 list segments for your database. You said other agents that you know that can refer business to you that are moving there to where you are. You have all of the people making money off the transaction, all of your vendors. All right. And there's lots of non-settlement service providers. Like, for example, think of the daycare that gets the kids when someone moves there.
Right.
The landscaper that gets the $300 a month residual landscaping check to fix the landscaping forever when someone moves there. You have the people on your team or the people that you work with, their centers of influence for referrals. You have your own center of influence, which the easiest way to think about that is maybe your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn connections, and maybe the people in your Google contacts or Outlook contacts, and then past clients that you've worked with.
Right.
So what do you recommend? You probably have an agent come in.
Yeah, you have to have
this. I have to build a list of these people. I have to put them in a spreadsheet. Like, isn't that the work?
Well, you got to have a database, a CRM, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
you got to have the actual contact information of those people.
Right. And so, but you have to be purposeful and say, okay, so there are agents I know right now who have over 100,000 people in their database. And so in the old days is like, well, just, you know, if they don't know you and they don't respond, you know, you purge. Do not purge any names, address, phone numbers, ever, 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 you know, unless they ask to be taken off. So the key is you want to constantly build up your, you know, it's it's name, address, phone number, emails. And when you have a contract that comes in, it's a husband, don't just have the husband's stuff, get the wife's information also. So it's being very purposeful about, first of all, you got to know how many you have in your database. And it has to be a goal every month, Frank, that you are increasing that database. And so kind of a good rule is 3 a day. Maybe 100 a month that you increase it is kind of a reasonable expectation, but you have to be purposeful about increasing your database. And there are some agents that got bigger numbers than that. They're at 30 a day. And so how are they doing that? You know, they're looking at where they've just listed, just sold, they're buying lists of people. The key is the whole thing is that anytime you're talking to someone, they should go into your database. You need to make sure that when you're going to events that you go purposely with 500 business cards to a real estate event and you're coming back with 500 new business cards. And the key thing is that understanding your database is your cash register. Your database is your only asset. There is not one other asset that you have other than your database. And no one puts it in their schedule. Tell me you know an agent that puts it in their schedule, a top producing agent that says, oh, on Wednesdays from 1 to 3, I work on my database. I review what's going on in there. I make sure that the marketing is going out. Now that's a whole nother thing that obviously your company does so well at, but you have to have a very strong marketing strategy, especially with the market shifting, the more content you give. So here's an example. If you go buy something on Amazon and I buy something on Amazon, then I get 16 other emails in the next 2 days saying, if you like this, you'll like that. And oh, by the way, everybody who bought this, bought that. I get so many emails on that. So don't think that one email or one video a month is enough. In my world, I'm saying keep sending as long as it's value, they're going to take a peek at it. Do you agree with that, Frank?
They absolutely will. I'll show some examples of that here in a bit.
Okay. All right.
What I want to share with the audience really quick is just some tactical information to build your list.
Good.
So what Monica shared here, and I want to share to start off, that your ultimate ability to maintain pricing power and to make a great living at selling real estate will not be when you're held hostage by someone else who's providing the lead, because you'll generally be treated as a commodity. Whereas if you generate the lead and you have the relationship with the database, which Monica said was the number one asset, and you create this feeling, this relationship with the list that you're there to protect them and help them and you're bringing value, people tend to pay more for that feeling, right? So you have to start with your list. So I'm actually just going to share my list really quick. Let me share my screen here, Monica.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Maybe. I see your email screen.
Perfect. That's what I want you to see.
Okay, good.
So I'm just inside my Gmail here, everybody. And this is what I would do if I were to take Monica seriously. I would print off all of my contacts. I would print them off on my printer. All right. I would go to my Facebook. This is my Facebook, my lovely wife. All right. I would click my friends. All right. And I would copy and paste. Hang on. I would take all of these and I would copy and paste all of these friends. If I can get my computer right, but I would copy and paste them all and print them off. All of my Facebook friends. I can do the same and go to LinkedIn. I would print them all off. Right.
Yeah.
I was in a Facebook group with maybe a lot of realtors that refer that I know in some way. I would go to the group on the right-hand side, copy and paste, print them all off. What else? Vendors. I would start thinking about every single transaction that I've done and writing, who made money on the deal, or who was the painter, or who was the
who got a check.
Yeah, who got a check? Who's the electrician? Beyond just the settlement statement, non-settlement service providers. Let me just give you a quick example, just to bring some, very direct practicality here of some of those businesses real quick. Here's some of the businesses. The ones in bold are settlement statement providers, but these are just some of the common people that, when a house trades, lots of people are making money downstream, right, Monica?
Absolutely. Every single one of those. Yeah.
You might have some of these individuals that you could add to your list that you just kind of loosely know that have done money off a transaction. And then you can either go into the MLS or call your broker to get your past clients if you've been not paying attention to that. How would someone get a list of their past clients, Monica?
Well, first of all, going back to your broker and pulling all the list of all the sales you've had, if you have never done this before and didn't keep track of it, that'd be the best way. The other thing is just get out a legal pad and start writing down and carry it with you anytime you're driving down the street. Go, oh, I sold that house. I mean, it's going to take time, but this is your only asset. This is your saleable asset in the future too.
Yep. So I would print it all off, and then I would go through and circle all the people from all your contacts, all your Facebook. I would just start circling. Anyone that you think that might loosely know you. And then I would take all those sheets of paper, I would hand them to an assistant and say, look it all up and put them in the spreadsheet. Unless you're going to do it, but I don't know of a lot of agents that sell a lot of homes that have the tenacity to sit down and do that.
No, but that's definitely one way to start. I mean, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. So you actually have to start with a list, right? But those are the 5 audiences that you would recommend someone start with. All right.
Absolutely. Okay. Now there is another one that's not mentioned because it's a little bit harder, and it's because it can go into center of influence, but it's family. Like if you have a spouse, if you have kids, if you have teenagers, you make them bird dogs for you. You make them find business for you too. So there's one extra one there, but and I always just mention that and make sure your spouse and your family are on board. Like my nephew, he knows every time he moves with Ernst & Young, he better call me first or I'll break his leg, So but I'm, joking, but that's how my family knows. They don't move without me knowing about it. And they're all over the country.
Good. So then you said we have to bring them value.
Yes.
Okay. So we have to reconnect with this existing list beyond just being a pest, especially your family. I mean, what a great segue. You don't want to go to your family and say, do you want to sell your gotta get a commission? You have to have a reason to reach out that's educational and helpful. And you said providing helpful messages, educating and teaching, right? Let me give the audience an example. Maybe you can add to this. This is a client of Vyral, and this is what people do here.
Yeah.
Start the local, and you can do this, by the way. The local Imperial Beach, La Jolla, Del Mar, we're in Southern California, Omaha, Nebraska, Jacksonville, whatever. your real
Fargo,
estate
North
journal.
Dakota.
Fargo, North Dakota Real Estate Journal, brought to you by
But see, that's value
you.
right there.
It is.
There's lots of value there.
So give me 10 minutes in Photoshop. That's created. All right. You scroll down, look at these wonderful educational videos, 8 ways to increase your home value on a budget. And you can click any one of these and you can meet Brett. And there's a blog post here of something helpful that's educational in nature where you can actually press play on the video. Let me actually just see if we can play it really quick.
Hey there, Brett Jennings with Silicon Valley Real Estate Journal. I want to thank you for tuning back into the real estate blog here. Today, our topic is going to be 8 ways to increase your home value by up to $50,000, spending as little as $6,000. I want to share with you today 8 ways to add.
So something like that, right? See how that's helpful?
Yeah, but see, again, remember the value word. Every conversation has to bring value, every single conversation. Mm-hmm. So when the market has spiked up, and I see you've got values there on the right, wouldn't the value be, say, we've had a spike in our prices, they've gone up. I just wanted to remind you to make sure that your insurance is correct, because there's too many times that properties are underinsured when disasters happen. And we've had so many disasters lately. That's a value call. So all of these and the videos, this is a perfect way. And to me, this is the relationship has to be about value.
Mm-hmm. So what we're going to recommend here, and what I would recommend as the CEO of Vyral, is that you have this spreadsheet of all these agents and all these vendors and people from your team and your centers of influence, past clients. You look at all these people in Excel and you're like, what do I say? What do I say? You know? And what I like to do is to answer 2 commonly asked questions a month about real estate, or provide 2 market updates, or record 2 quick educational videos. You can do them right here on a webcam like this. This is what we help you do at Vyral, but anyone can do this. But you kind of wrap it under a container of like the local real estate newsletter or like the local real estate journal, where the mission of your content, everyone ready for this, is to help residents make smart real estate decisions and to connect the community. Mm-hmm. So you go to this list with the mission to help them make smart real estate decisions, as well as connect the community. We start getting in, like, interviewing business owners and stuff like that for your videos. That's more advanced. Now, that makes it sound a lot easier to reach out to all those relationships on a spreadsheet, doesn't it?
Totally. But it's value again.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to know about the neighborhood and what's happening in the neighborhood? Yeah. It's just like, if you're reading the local papers and seeing what's happening, there's a lot of people who don't read papers anymore. They don't know what's happening at the Chamber of Commerce, where they've rezoned a certain area for things. It's really important to know those things.
So let's say someone has built those 5 lists and they got the contact information. Before we I want to hear your ideas of more of what to stay in touch and what to send and how often to stay in touch. I want to hear those thoughts here in a minute. But people need to add to their list. So let's build this big asset. We have this current database that we reconnect with, but we need to be building. You said 3 people a day. Minimum. Tell me practically, how does someone watching this webinar say, I'm going to build my database? How does someone do that starting tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I'd leverage it off to an assistant.
A perfect real estate assistant. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd leverage it off to an assistant. I personally wouldn't do it, or I'd hire someone or a virtual to start working on it. Then I'd start, in each one of those categories. So for example, if you're with Remax Keller Williams, I'd find out who are the top 100 the top 100 teams, and I'd make sure that those got into a database, and I'd start, making sure I get into contact with them, that they know I live in San Diego, and ask for referrals and tell them a little bit about the market here type of thing, or give them a tip. So the whole
agents you want referrals from that you want to.
Right. Yep. The top agents will have the referrals.
What about homeowners? How does someone build a database of homeowners so they can build a relationship to
if you sell a property in a certain area and you need to have 150 to 250 names around that property, you let them know you listed it, you let them know you sold it, and you stay in touch with them. And Whenever you sell a home in an area, you should do the research in that area for name, address, phone number, and emails. A lot of times the title company can help you. There's a lot of online services you can buy that'll give you even the cell phone numbers. You have to be purposeful. If there's a certain area that you've sold several homes in, I would hope that you have 200 homes around that area and that they know who you are. And, you know, in the conversation, you know, you're calling them, you say, I just want to introduce myself. You know, I sold a home in the neighborhood and blah, blah. We've got other buyers that are desperate to buy in your neighborhood. Can you tell me a little bit if you're interested in selling your home in the near future? And you start a simple conversation, then you end it. By the way, may I ask you, could I have your email address? I occasionally send something time to time about the values in the neighborhood. And I'd like your email address.
So yeah, that's a real reverb for me. See if you can turn your speakers on just a little bit, Monica, even more.
Even more? Okay, I've got it down to like 26. I'll do it again.
Yeah, just so you can barely hear me, I suppose. It's all right.
Okay.
So isn't that great? So let's say you do an open house. Let's say you sell a home in a neighborhood. You would go door knock. You would call, you know, the homeowners in the area, letting them know that you sold it and how much you sold it for. All right. But at the end of the conversation, Monica said something very important, is you invite them to subscribe to your newsletter or your video blog. So if you're publishing the Southern California Real Estate Journal, let's say with your 2 videos a month, or you're publishing the Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm originally from, you know, newsletter with 2 videos a month, you say, hey, you know, by the way, I publish these videos about what's going on in the community. It's my mission to educate residents about what's going on with real estate and make smart decisions and connect the community. If I can just get your email address, I'd love to send you updates on the value of homes and what's happening here locally to keep you informed. Would that be okay? And believe it or not, if you ask people that after, you know, decent conversation, they'll say yes. And what you do is you basically have this little bookmarked page, and this scales across your team where you or the agent drops their name down. You put in the email address and you write down how you met the person, as well as some other stuff if you want, and click submit. And it puts that person right into your list. 3 a day, Monica. How easy is that? Right? Now,
it's very simple.
Yeah.
And,
go ahead.
Yeah. No one going into an open house should ever not sign in with their name, address, and emails.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add one more thing to building your list for the sake of the audience here. Let's say you're talking to people, you're having conversations. You know, how many conversations are you having a week? We should have something at the end of the script. After every conversation, we have to remind ourselves, let's offer them a subscription to, let's say, our newsletter. All right. You ask permission to get their email so you can send them helpful, educational, informative things. And you enter their information to some type of internal form that you have like this. But here's what's really cool. This is my little internet marketing insight, Monica, I'll share. Of all of the emails that go out, the subscription confirmation email, like after you opt into a web form, is like the #1 most opened email. I mean, think about it. You opt in, it says, hey, thanks for subscribing, email. You could have an email that goes out saying, hey, it was great to visit with you. You're now subscribed to our video newsletter. Here's our team. Here's what we're all about. You can search for homes here. You can find out what your home is worth. Imagine with all the conversations you guys are having every single week and all the work that goes into them, if you just started asking for your email address and putting it into a system, how much does that cost you? Nothing. Imagine if an email kicked out right away that had your picture and your reviews and links to search for homes and all your information right away. How much does that cost you? Nothing. It's a wonderful way to build your database long-term. Right, Monica?
That's right.
Cool. All right. So we talked a little bit about, so here's what we've discussed so far. A little bit about the state of the industry, the commoditization of real estate agents, especially with some of the trends we're seeing with Zillow. You mentioned they're going to pay $75 to let them into a door. Did you hear that?
Yeah, Gary Keller told me that.
Yeah, so Zillow will pay you $75 to let someone into a home. Big difference than getting your 2.5 or 3%.
And just to restate what you were saying, Zillow is really annoyed that they don't feel agents are converting the leads, so they decided they're going to start to take over.
That opt in on the website don't even get a call back. It's not good.
So they're going to take it over.
Yeah. So we have to create, the agent as a professional service provider has to create a deep relationship so people have this feeling of trust and protection. And the way that we're going to do that is by, building our list. Again, let's go through the 5. We're just kind of recapping halfway through. A list of agents around the country who you know or want to know that can send you referrals. Vendors who have made money out past transactions with you. Maybe people your team would like to put, let's say, on the newsletter. Your centers of influence, starting with maybe your Facebook friends and your LinkedIn connections, and even family, right, Monica?
Right.
And past clients. And you're going to have to build that list. And I gave you my little tip of what I would do with an assistant to look it all up and put it, say, in a CRM or a spreadsheet. Now we got to the point where it's like, well, what do we send them all other than like, hire me to sell your home or you're the pest? But we don't want to be the pest, Monica. We want to be the guest.
We're the value. We're the real estate value. We're the concierge of real estate information.
Yes. And one of the best ways of doing that is starting to publish some videos or some newsletter content, maybe under the veil of like the local real estate journal that you create for yourself, brought to you by your team or you, the agent, and 2 quick videos a month. And I showed you some examples there, as well as once you've reconnected with your existing list and communicated with them and offering them something helpful. So they spend time with you online and watch your videos like you guys are watching Monica and I now to get to know us, right? You have a plan that whenever you speak to somebody, you offer them a subscription, you ask permission to stay in touch, and ideally 3 people a day. Let's do some math. Monday through Friday is 60, right? Times 415 times 4. You know, what is 60 times 12? Over 600,
720.
720 people of permission-based emails would be added to your list a year, and that would literally cost you nothing, let alone if you're watching this and you have a team. Imagine your team doing it at scale. And they each get 3 people a day, right? So now, Monica, everyone watching this webinar, they're all going to go do this. And they all have this list, all right? They have this list of all these relationships built up in a spreadsheet. They are asking for email addresses. They're putting into a form. They have this audience. Let's go a little bit deeper now. What is the touch plan? I shared my video strategy. What do you recommend? What have you seen? What works?
You know, what works is the minimum of 1 call a quarter. And then you should have a devoted group of your 50 best clients, your 100 best clients. Those are the people you take out to lunch once a week. So if you have 100, you're going to take 2 people out a week. If you go on a coffee breaks, take 3 people out for coffee breaks. If you have a devoted 50 of your very, very best clients, you need to have a face-to-face at least once or twice a year. You have a client appreciation parties, that's fine. However, you need that face-to-face, and it's all about them. How do I help you? How do I help your business? What's going on? Do you need any advice on real estate? What about any of the potential investments? Have you ever thought about doing any investments? Is there anything I can help you with that? So those are the things that, you know, thinking about right now, if you had a group of people and you said, hey, I'd like to bring 4 or 5 of you together and talk about investments you might be interested in the future, and you bring 4 or 5 together, maybe to your conference room, maybe you get a room at a restaurant, bringing people together like that. So you're building these networks of people that are going to be loyal to you. Obviously, I'm a big proponent that possibly 1 email that's of value, a short email, a short video. I love the things about, you know, here's a $100 tip that could increase your home $1,000, or here's 8 tips on how to, you know, with the $6,000 that would increase value. I love those little tips, and I know when the videos are short and simple, like what you recommend, or the emails are short and simple, people will look at them as value. And that's the key thing. So, you know, I'm moving into the direction, it's not 1 email a month. It might be 1 a week for sure, and 1 video, and maybe you alternate that, but 4 times a month is a touch there. The other thing that I highly recommend is that you have client appreciation parties and you put different groups of people together. And I highly recommend that there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas cards. Basically, it's touching, but also, do you know your best client's birthday? Do you reach out to them on their birthday? Do you send them a birthday card? Now, some of you are going to go, oh my gosh, this is that crazy stuff. No, this is about relationships. And if you don't build the relationships, they can use an Uber realtor to go open the door for $75.
Become a commodity without the relationship. And a relationship I would define as someone having a strong feeling of protection by you. honestly, in the case of business.
And it's that you care and you know who they are, and they call and say, hey, Frank, how, I just noticed that you guys had a new baby, or whatever it happens to be, or I just heard, congratulations. It's showing that you're involved in more aspects of their life. And a lot of us realtors, especially the high Ds like myself, the last thing I want to do is get to know people on a personal level. However, that's where the business is going to go with all the technology. We have to get around that.
Oh my gosh, you said so many good things here.
I did? Okay,
oh, yeah.
good.
Yeah, I got them. All right, so let me go back to something she said I want the audience to hear. It's all about getting them face to face. So it's all this internet marketing is designed to get someone to at least know you enough, or maybe they take a phone call, or they spend time on the phone with you, or they take an event invitation to meet with you one-on-one for maybe some coffee to see how you can help them face to face. And all of this touch marketing strategy is designed to get them to an event where you can meet people in a one-to-many situation, as opposed to one-on-one. You said that right?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. I want to share everyone like the best event idea ever. Or maybe you can share really good events. I want you to think of like the best event a real estate agent can hold, and I'll share mine real quick. All right.
Oh, okay.
Think about what would yours be?
I like my best event, seriously, the one that I've done successfully is a shredding party. Hire a shredding truck for $350. And usually the vendors affiliates paid for that. And then I had the vendors affiliates do a hamburger, the hot dogs. So when they came after tax time, it was like usually the first week of May, we let everybody know about it for weeks and weeks and weeks advance, did the videos, did all of that, and said, bring your documents for shredding. You need to, tax purposes, keep your last 7 years. The others, bring and shred. And while you're there, it'll be shredded right before your eyes. We have hot dogs, hamburgers, we have snow cone machines, all of that was great. Awesome. People loved it. And it didn't cost me any money.
I love that.
And we used the parking lot on a Saturday, plenty of space, no problem. People drove up, hung out, talked, couldn't get rid of them.
I bet you, was there a CPA there before you shred your taxes, let me look at them?
No.
I'll be that CPA. All right. So much good stuff here. Let me share, mine's very close to yours, Monica. You can rent an ice cream truck for a couple hours for about the same price and give away unlimited free ice cream. So you have the ice cream truck, you say it's the annual ice cream social, the annual San Diego where Monica and I reside, ice cream social at the park. Come on out. Maybe you get the Boy Scout troop there to set up some camping stuff, which I'm an Eagle Scout. And by the way, the Boy Scouts, for what it's worth, would be happy to help sponsor you for this because they have a recruiting budget to get more kids in Scouts, for what it's worth. All right. But to hold like a little event, you invite people out. And so that's one of the very first events we did for one of our clients actually down in Chula Vista. He had about 60 people show up from his database and from his farm because he ended every single conversation with, would you like me to invite you to my annual ice cream social I'm holding at the park, some Saturday from like 11 to 2. And he would send them a link where people can go register on Eventbrite. So we built this whole registration list on Eventbrite for people that are going to come. And that's how he met people face to face. And he would normally door knock, and I asked him, like, how much work would it take to get face to face with 60 people that actually gave you more than 30 seconds? Like, week of painstakingly door knocking. I'm like, you accomplished that in 3 hours, and it wasn't as painful with your event, was it? And he was like, wow, that's pretty big. I never thought about that way for the face-to-face time. So what you said here is a lot of the video marketing, online marketing, email marketing, it's all designed to get a one-to-one meeting or to hopefully bring them to events so you can build that relationship in person. All right. I like the shredding truck idea. Anything else you could share, a little tips, little insights, just a little tactic of what people should do to stay in better touch with the database, ways to add value, messages. You're calling somebody up, you're meeting with them one-on-one. What's the reason? Give me some good reasons.
The critical thing is to know what's going on in your market too. So for example, reminders to pay your taxes on time. reminders that, you know, there's a meeting, like in an area in Encinitas where I live, there was a lot of new zoning going on. And I would have liked to have gone to those meetings. I just didn't pay attention to when they were, because all of a sudden, not too far from my house now is a whole bunch of apartment units being built. And I would like to know about the density and parking and things like that. So I'm just trying to expand your thinking about, what would you like to know as a homeowner? What's the value there? Are you looking at the school ratings? Have they changed? Have they improved? The other thing is that when you have a list of vendors, so for example, painters, electricians that you know do a great job, who doesn't want to know a good handyman? You know, who doesn't want to know a good electrician? I mean, I moved to another area now, and I'm scrambling trying to find people that I could rely on for service. I have no idea. I'm just kind of hunting and pecking and going through a list. I mean, it would have been great if the realtor that I had worked with, which was me, knew what was going on in this area. So doesn't that make sense? Like when you've got something that you know that would be helpful to a homeowner?
I think what you also said that I wanted to bring up is this whole idea of I'm just going to buy a bunch of leads and pound them to get the deal, or I'm just going to pound phones trying to find that now business. Certainly there's an element of that, and that will get you paid. But long-term, technology and big companies are further commoditizing you. And unless you have a transactional business that's made up in massive volume, you know, you're going to have to sustain the commissions and to sustain your livelihood as a real estate agent. You're going to have to get comfortable building a business in this relationship way for most people.
Right.
Monica. And that's been challenging, because I think for a while in real estate, you didn't really have to, because you had access to the lockbox, or you had the MLS data, or, you know, people didn't really have many other options than hiring a real estate agent. But now you must do this, especially with some of the trends that we shared here earlier on some of the uncertainties that are happening in the real estate market. Now,
you know, the other thing too is that with the interest rates changing, it's not so great for people to refi. The refi business has kind of gone sideways. However, just remember, when the interest rates go down, it might be good for people to refi that are buying at 5% now. And so just thinking about what is happening in the lending, what is happening around the country in real estate, what are some of the changes? So just remember, you're the guru of information. Understanding construction on a house, when you're showing a property, maybe there is something that you can say, if you have this kind of roof, here's something that we noticed that's happening, or here's some things to know about if you're thinking about purchasing solar. Solar's a big deal right now, and there's some nasty leases out there on these solars that prevent homes from being sold. A friend of mine just was making a purchase, but she had a $55,000 solar bill she had to also buy with that house.
Solar, how does it affect the sellability of your home?
Yeah.
All right,
so what I'm trying to say is think. You are the guru of real estate information.
So let's recap what was discussed today. We promised our audience how to get more commissions from your database. We discussed it's important that we create a feeling and a relationship that you're going to protect and educate and guide. All right. So we have to have an audience that we're going to do that to, and you recommend agents, vendors, people from your team and their databases, your center of influence and family, and past clients. And you have to build those lists, or else you don't have an email address or a phone number to contact them. So that's kind of the necessary evil that most people don't get over, of how do I actually get names in a spreadsheet of those individuals. It's terrible,
right?
But it has to be done. Right?
Yeah. Can I just say one thing too, Frank? And I know you're going through your list. You have to be really purposeful about your database, and being purposeful means really understanding who you've got in there and taking the time to clean it up and making it a stronger database. And then of course, obviously, you know, the marketing on top of that, but really understanding. So for example, find out how many completes you have, name, address, phone number, and emails in your database. Second thing is, find out what percentages are you getting from agent referrals, what percentage from center of influence, what percentage, and then say to yourself, okay, here's what I did to market this year. These are the percentages that I yielded. So now how am I going to double and triple that next year with a more purposeful marketing plan of value to them, conversations of value?
We talked about adding people to your list. You're already having X number of conversations a month on your own, or your team is having X number of conversations, and we should be inviting them to subscribe to your helpful educational material that you send out, and getting that email address, ideally with some type of subscription confirmation email that will really help you guys out for what it's worth, knowing what I know. And then we also shared a general plan of at least maybe the principle and the attitude of what you stay in touch with. Something helpful, something educational, something so good people would pay money to receive it, right? Leading maybe what I recommend, a newsletter or a video blog or whatever you want to call it, where your mission is to help residents make smart real estate decisions and to better connect the community. That's your reason for reaching out, right? And
Right.
through that relationship, through that reason, it will create the relationship where, yeah, I'm a real estate agent, I can help you. You don't really want to lead out as a real estate agent because it comes across as salesy, let's say, right? So you also said a lot of this online marketing and all that touch plan, whatever we do is designed to drive them to a one-on-one meeting in some way to bring value, or ideally some type of event. I recommend that my ice cream social idea, you had your wonderful shredding event. How many people, by the way, did you have to your shredding event? How many people did you invite, Monica?
You know, we invited our entire database, and I think 300 showed up. We had
That's
a couple
pretty
thousand in our database, but at least 300 showed up. We did it for 3 hours. It was
So
pretty
Monica,
busy.
how much work would it take you to see 300 people face to face in your database? One-on-one?
I didn't even see all of them when I was there. I had my whole team there. It was like
Yeah.
a crazy zoo, but it was great. I mean, we created that value.
A lot of top
It'd
agents,
take forever. I don't even know how long.
when you study
Forever.
a lot of successful agents, you may hear kind of the shiny, cool objects, a lot of the seminars, but if you actually look into the business, you're going to see a very strong database building strategy, and you're going to see community events. It's there across, it's a consistent pattern you see across all of them to create that relationship. All right, so let's end with this, Monica.
Okay.
Someone's going to go, this is all great, but I don't have any time to do any of this. Now, you teach somebody how to hire their first assistant that will help them execute much of what we talked about today. Will you tell the audience about your perfect real estate system, the real estate assistant system?
Yeah. I do 2 classes, the Perfect Real Estate Assistance, which is the basics. It's a 6-month course. And the key on that is you're going to end up with a 450-page policy and procedures manual. It's for the agent and for the assistant. I do a call for the agent that strictly teaches you how to be a great leader, how to be a great boss. And then it's all the systems, every single system you could possibly imagine. Then there's another course I teach is the Perfect Operations Team, which is a deep dive into, thanks Frank, which is a deep dive into the transaction coordinator, a deep dive into the TC, and a deep dive into building a director of operations. And so with that said, those are the 3 things. However, I would say that when you hire an assistant, they can help with a lot of the marketing. However, the most assistants don't know what that means. And that's why I would say, I'll revert back to you, Frank. You would be able to provide the piece on the marketing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So I really recommend if you have never hired anyone before, get an assistant first and go hire Monica. Because your very first hire, besides what some people say is your CRM, besides your CRM is your first hire is a great assistant that can handle everything except what? Prospecting, negotiating.
Correct.
Those 4
They
things.
handle, but they do everything else, right?
Everything else. Yep. So I recommend you check that out. But if you're doing some more production and your assistant can't handle all the marketing you want, let me just show you really briefly, because I know Monica has to go. She has to end about 5 minutes early. Go check out getvyral.com, and you can download actually the video marketing plan that we discussed today of what I shared, of how to reconnect with your list, how to grow your list, and how to communicate it with educational videos. And you can see how it all works and execute that for you. And I have many more interviews. If you want to go deeper into how to get more business and more commissions from your database, I recommend you go to the results tab and watch many of these interviews of how people are getting results from database. 2 specific ones. Jenny Wallach gets 28% of her 600K GCI from other agents around the country referrals. And she lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma. it should be very easy for you if you're in a more, no disrespect to Tulsa, but more sought after market. Right?
I was just there last week.
Right?
I was there last week. Yeah.
On top of that, there's a wonderful interview here at the very end with Tony DeCello about how for a long time, Gary Keller, if you follow Keller at Keller Williams, has recommended a 33 touch. It's up now. It's actually 36 touch. And if you want to hear the official from Gary 36 touch plan of what's recommended there, which is pretty much everything the same Monica has shared, you can get it here from Tony should you wish to implement that. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. So
Monica, do you have any parting thoughts?
My parting thought is your database is your only asset. Make sure that you are focused on it. Put it in your schedule. This time of year, really pay attention. Call all the clients that have given you referrals because they will give you 10 times more if you pay attention to them. So remember, build up those people who've given you referrals. Make sure you have a face-to-face with them. This is a great time of year to say thank you and have a face-to-face. The database is the key, and presenting value and always being in touch with them. That is absolutely critical, and having a strong over-the-top marketing plan.
Wonderful. Well, Monica, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Frank.
That's it.
Always great to talk to you.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Okay, bye.